Hi, welcome back to PÖFF TV. My name is Johanna Kristina and we're here right in the heart of the Black Nights Film Festival. Today we have two amazing guests joining us. Talented directors behind the Sauna Day or in Estonian Sannapäiv film. So let's give a big welcome to our great and talented directors Anna Hints and Tushar Prakash. Yes, that's correct. So, how are you?
Very excited.
Very excited, yes.
Excited?
It's always the festival where I like to watch movies, so yeah.
Oh,
excited.
nice to hear.
Yes.
Yeah, for me it's also like gathering of film family. For me really there exists a film family and I'm already looking so much forward to meet all the dear
that's so
film family.
Oh, that's so
people.
cute. Okay, but the first question would be that what inspired you to make this movie? Was it some personal experience or some events that inspired it, or where this idea came from?
I can maybe start so I in order to talk about Sauna Day I have to mention my first long documentary Smoke Sauna Sisterhood that has been really successful, but that I also made 7 years, and it had many challenges, you know, you can imagine in 7 years.
Oh yeah.
And when in Smoke Sauna Sisterhood the focus was on the safe, intimate space of smoke sauna and for women to share really everything out, you know, all the most embarrassing secrets and shame and everything, to voice out all the experiences. Then in Sauna Day, it is in a way opposite. It's a space, the same safe space where there are the men, but the task was how to show this that is not said, how to show the intimacy, like the fear of the intimacy, the fear of vulnerability, because both films are dealing with the question of intimacy, and I think that becomes interesting that when I was traveling with Smoke Sauna Sisterhood all around the world and all, including Estonia, then there were so many who were like men who were like, hey Anna, I give you money, you know, please make a Smoke Sauna Brotherhood film. But you know, probably it would be a short film or a silent film. And in a way, Sauna Day is depicting that because there is so much shame, so much gender expectations that are like masks covering the masculinity or the perceived masculinity, and how to be really vulnerable with each other without those masks. So this film is like a short poem depicting that.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh.
For me, I've always been interested in male intimacy, the need for male intimacy, but the inadequacy to be able to be intimate, the challenges with it also. Coming from India, I have seen people from my father's generation, my uncles, even my friends, like how they carry these burdens on their shoulders of what it is to be a man. How do you the responsibilities, the expectations, and how they like the heavy weight that they carry that under, and they want to be intimate, they want to be vulnerable, they want to share what's going on with them, they want to reach out, but they're just not able to do so. There is shame, there's shame regarding that. There is this feeling of weakness when you're intimate and open, and I really saw a lot of people just struggle with that, and that's always been something very fascinating for me since I was young. And it's very interesting how intimacy becomes ritualized. What are the rituals of intimacy? How do you take this need for intimacy and you make it into an action? You know, maybe it's not words sometimes, it's just an action, it's just sitting next to somebody in silence. And that's where what I found interesting. And then coming to Estonia, I also saw this, that it's the same conflict gets also transported here, and that's what I wanted to also explore in this movie.
I think there are so many like this kind of concepts, especially where men are struggling with, of like what is strength, like that you have to be strong, and how emotions and emotionality is being perceived as something weak. And my message through both of those films is that the real courage, the real strength is in the courage to be vulnerable. And that's where we actually connect as human beings. Like, we want to be connected with each other, and we would like very comfortable way of how to be vulnerable and connected, but there is no comfortable way. You have to take the masks off to really connect, and that's like encouragement, for us to do, because that's so fulfilling.
And also a really important topic to talk about,
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And also, I think in that film, it's very much personal. You asked if it's personal. Like, I identify myself as a queer person. Tushar, you can talk of yourself, but it's this. It's definitely a queer film also, and it's like these topics are still under so much cover in Estonia, and many people are feeling shamed, and there is also a lot of violence connected to queerness, and so this is also very personal to me.
That's really good answer. Thank you for sharing those kind of things through a movie. Okay, but what was the biggest challenge with this film?
Do you want to answer?
I mean, there were a series of challenges, but I think at the concept level itself, the first challenge was that it is not easy to make a silent movie. It is not easy to make a movie where the drama, or let's say the story, is not being told through words, but just through glances and silence. Just that in itself, I personally have found very fascinating and very challenging also. That's also the cinema that's inspired me, cinema of Tarkovsky or Bergman, cinema that's just these inner worlds, how to bring these inner worlds outside. So that was the big cinematic, I think, challenge, first of all. Also the kind of the challenge, but also the fascination of it. It was also very challenging to present this movie in that way, to pitch this movie sometimes, because how do you pitch this? How do you pitch just chemistry between two people? How do you propose that? How do you pitch that? So we had to really come up with innovative ways to pitch that, to make people understand what we wanted to do. And co-direction had also its challenges. It's a beautiful journey. Filmmaking can be such a challenging journey on your own, and it's beautiful to make it with somebody else. But for that, you also need to communicate. You need to come onto the same platform. You need to have your visions aligned. So that was also quite a challenge for us. And apart from that, also making this movie while Anna was traveling the world with the success of Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, which was beautiful, but we had to really also align a lot of things with that. We had to align the production, the schedules, the cinematographer schedules. A lot of things had to come together. So it was we had to really find that one moment where all the planets kind of align, for us to find that one window when we can shoot it, that one window when we can edit it, that one window when we can do the sound. So yeah, so it's been quite a detail. Yeah,
okay.
Because we wrote the script a few years ago, but we had to wait because Smoke Sauna Sisterhood, we were all busy with Smoke Sauna Sisterhood.
Yeah.
Then we had to find the time to make this film.
Basically, I had last year, I had those 3 weeks when I could rest, and that was the time when I was doing this Sauna Day film.
Right.
No resting, so I hope now I can do some rest after PÖFF also.
I hope also. But how did you choose the setting of the smoke sauna in Vana-Võromaa for this story?
Well, I can say that I was born into smoke sauna culture. That's something that is so integral part of myself. That's the space that fascinated Smokesauna Sisterhood and also the Sauna Day, and it's really very special also in the context of the world, because even though this kind of safe spaces where we can wash our body, wash our soul, it's like a spiritual place, every culture has had that. Not every culture has maintained those spaces. And it became, and now I'm more convinced that it is really something that humanity needs, that we need this kind of space where you can, like what Smokesauna is, you take off your clothes, and not just physical clothes, but also, you know, metaphorical clothes, how we usually construct ourselves with. You really take everything off and you enter that space where you wash your body, but also your soul, and you can share absolutely everything. And that becomes like smoke sauna for me becomes like this kind of black canvas or dark canvas, because it's dark. Its walls are black because of the smoke. It becomes like dark canvas to explore human connection, human condition, human intimacy. It's super inspiring, and when you compare those two films, Smokesauna Sisterhood and Sauna Day, the canvas is there, but the relationship to intimacy is different. And also it becomes a political act. For example, that Sauna Day, Sannapäiv, actually is in Võro language, like that it is not Estonian language, it is the indigenous language of Southeast Estonia, and to make a film in that language, you know, all the titles in the end, credits, all the credits are in Võro language. It is super important. It is super important, and it is political. Nowadays in film industry there is so much talk about the indigenous cultures and indigenous stories and indigenous places, and it has been my journey to embrace my roots from these indigenous cultures of Võro and Seto, and to also create from those roots.
Mm-hmm. That's an amazing that you are like also acknowledging that where you come from. Okay, but can you share any memorable moments or interactions you had with the men featured in the film?
Oh, there are many. Basically, how we did it is that there are two actors, really, really lovely actors, Rasmus Kaljujärv and Agur Seim, and then the other men are local men from the Vana-Võromaa community and Seto community. And it was very fascinating process for us, basically how to film the whole thing. So we put the non-actors and the actors together. So like our actors Rasmus and Agur, they were actually building the roof with the men. They were actually like going to sauna with them. They were actually drinking Hansa, a local homemade vodka.
Okay.
So like they became like one unit, and that took several days. And then once we were ready to film the Smokesauna scene, then they went into smoke sauna and we filmed the smoke sauna part. So it was very beautiful to see this mixture and blurriness in a way, like what is starting to question what is acting, memorable things like Ivan, all the Ivan stories from this local relative of mine, Ivan, and how these men opened up and how these men actually became these men that we are depicting in the film.
So the masks came off.
Yes, the masks came off, and I think that was such a huge gift and privilege to witness that, and this becomes a seed for future films, that now we have this community to continue to work with.
Okay.
While Anna was traveling at the festivals in the spring before summer time, so and after we made the decision that okay, we will work with this community, then I had to go with our casting director Lina Pri. I had to go with her to go and try and convince these men to become a part of the film. So I had to go individually, because it's South Estonia, through Anna I've learned that you have to go, you go with gifts, bearing gifts, you sit with them, you just don't you just don't start talking about the film, you sit, you have tea, you have coffee, you eat some food.
You have Hansa.
Yeah, you have Hansa, you talk about many things for hours, and then you start talking about the film. Talking about the film, and so there was a lot of sauna in those two weeks period. A lot of Hansa drinking, and Lina was amazing. She came along also for every meeting of that. We had to go to each and every house, every evening and talk to them and convince them, and they were so generous to come on board to the whole process.
And I mean, they shared so beautiful stories that again is like inspiration for future. Like really beautiful to see these tough men who have done a lot of physical work throughout their lives and suddenly like opening up, their hearts opening up. It was something like a total miracle, beautiful.
Okay, but lastly, what impact do you hope this film will have on the audience's understanding of male relationship and intimacy?
I can just share 2 feedbacks that I got when the film was shown in summer at Tartu. So it's part of PÖFF, Big PÖFF is Tartu in Tartu. Love Film Festival. So it was screened in the middle of Tartu, open air, Raekoja Plats. There were 1,500 people watching, or 14,400 or something like this. And I was super scared because there is queerness in that film also. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen? And then I just give 2 feedbacks. So there came this very tough-looking guy. And he was like, after the film, was like, Anna, I relate to this so much. It's really, yes, I do the same. It's exactly like how we are, like true Estonian men in sauna, we don't talk. And then I remember when, we talk about bullshit, not about the real shit, and I remember when I broke up with my wife, yes, my neighbor was also wishing me and I was wishing him. So this kind of, and then came another person, and he was like, thank you, Anna, it is so queer and it's so Estonian queer, this is exactly how we are, and you have depicted this intimacy so well, and these feelings between those men. So I think that was big gift. This was really big gift for me, that it can touch other people, different people's hearts, and talk about opening up and intimacy throughout different genders, throughout different sexual orientations, and hopefully, what impact? Hopefully opening the heart. That's the journey. That's the journey. That's the mission.
Yeah, and it seems that you've already done that. So,
but there is a long journey ahead, because I think in Estonia, when we talk about, we still have a lot of work ahead, and I just hope that we all understand. Basically, let's say these 2 men in this film who share intimacy and feelings towards each other. These are part of the invisible people. This is part of the invisible heritage. And very often populist politics, they are referring, when we talk about it, just concretely Estonia, they are referring to that, this is something brought in by the West, and this is not Estonian tradition. But I can share in my family, and that has tradition, but also has several queer people, and stories of them. We have always existed. It's just that these stories, these histories are not recorded. And in a way, that small poem that you see in these 13 minutes in Sauna Day is also something that is never recorded, nobody talks about. So I hope that more and more that invisibility becomes visible and normal. Definitely. To all of us.
And thanks to people like you that are talking about this and showing that on screen. So I think and I hope it will get better after some time.
I hope so too.
Yeah, but thank you for joining us. We've uncovered so many details about this story and about this film, so huge thanks to you.
Thank you.
It was really nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into PÖFF TV. I hope I will see you here again. So catch you later. Bye.